the most valuable, the most in-depth presentation series you'll probably find anywhere, online or otherwise. I'm going to go into some introductions with AI agents, but I'm also going to go into more detail and concrete examples of even some of my system prompts, how I set up my agent in this presentation compared to the last one. And so why am I presenting? People want to know, hey, what's in it for you? I just love Founders Day, Women's Founders Day, everything Mary Ann's and Chris is doing is amazing. I remember when the meetings were much smaller, and they continued to persevere. And now it's just been really good to see everyone, kind of thrive. And I've gotten more value out of Founders Bay than I can even give back to the community. So in the future, soon, as an AI agent founder of a AI agent startup, soon I believe we'll need a very new army of AI agent engineers soon. So networking with the community, building relationships with individuals today, there just does not exist the amount of AI agent engineers that we will need here in the near future, even in my startup and many startups coming up. And thirdly, the value of AI needs to be democratized. AI agents should not just be given in the hands of a few big tech companies with a few decision makers. This should truly be democratized across a variety and large diverse communities such as Founders Bay and many others. So hope you take a lot from this session. I've been building AI agents since 2022. I've been kind of the go-to for some founders, even VCs on AI agents. I've been asked to consult by Fortune 500 brand Costco, and have the opportunity in some others, ventures to build AI agents at a large enterprise scale. A technical advisor to AI startups, 7-year owner operator in the vacation rental industry to start off with, sales experience and a successful start and a successful exit. Yeah, the AI agent we have today has now seen over the last 2.5 years since I started building several 100,000 tests, few hundred iterations, pioneering strategies on the most advanced in the vacation rental hotel industry. Is now, according to Jared Friedman at Y Combinator, the most advanced AI autonomous agent in the vacation rental and hotel industry in these early stages, albeit we get 97% 5-star reviews from guests on Airbnb. 43% of teams recommend our AI agent to others. So just so you know, I'm a real practitioner. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. Yeah, so I want to speak and hopefully share this knowledge to you. Many different definitions of AI agents. I really like Jeremiah O. Wang's definition of Blitzscale Ventures. They are autonomous software systems that can perceive the environment, make decisions, and take actions to achieve their specific goals, often with the ability to learn and adapt over time. Now we have some basic attributes and examples. I am going through this part quickly because I did cover it last time. If you get a chance to go over the review, I go into more depth of critical insights and key concepts. Please make sure to watch the recording for last time. I believe if you are a Founders Day member, you get access actually to the recording of a few weeks ago when I went over this presentation. But AI agents are disrupting the labor and service costs, not just existing software. We're talking about how fast and extraordinary Silicon Valley has grown over the last, 30, 40 years. We're talking about another order of magnitude or two more than that. Where actually software is in technology is still amazingly a relatively small sector compared to the rest of the world. But if technology is actually quite literally doing the job for individuals, such as in the case of AI agents, not just helping people do the job, then we can see extraordinary growth. And I have a link to a really good must-see presentation by Jeremiah O. Wang. Moving forward, AI agents are advanced. I want to make sure we're on the same page. Perplexity and OpenAI's deep research feature is amazing. You ask it one question, it goes into extreme depth for 2 minutes, looking stuff up, researching the web for you for 2 solid minutes. That's a real AI agent. It comes back to you. It has a lot more capabilities, but AI agents are going to take the form of like a multi-user AI agent. Here's one, for example, kingdomsaves.ai. Maybe a message comes in and it goes back and forth with one user, but then realizes it needs to talk to another user. So I'll continue on here. So it's a multi-user AI agent that understands the behavior of the industry. And it continues on. In this case, it reaches out to the property manager. Later on, it reaches out to the maintenance, reaches out to the cleaner. So it's a full team coordinating AI agent. These are the kind of agents we're talking about, not just one that's native within a single app. For this AI agent, for example, text messages, emails, Slack messages, WhatsApp messages, but also has, can also be in a native app as well. So want to make sure we're on the same page that AI agents are much more advanced systems sitting on top of existing models. And currently today, even very recently, the founder of Box, they're kind of more micro-famous, Aaron Levy, got on Y Combinator's Lycomb podcast and said AI agents are only at 1% of full adoption and see their full potential. Amazing. So it's not too early. It's not too late, guys. Make sure to get in because now it's super extraordinary early innings. I call it AI Agent 1.0. And I hope we're all able to kind of benefit from this unique knowledge where everyone's talking about AI agents, but there's just very little content. There's very actually true AI agents out there thus far in the field. AI agents today, infrastructure progress towards AI agents. You can see reasoning engines are actually a critical key. I mentioned last time, and the cost of AI reasoning engines are going down, like even faster than standard models. I think there was even a Quen model, if I'm not mistaken, a Quen model that just came out today. That's even better, cheaper, faster than DeepSeek, the DeepSeek R1 model that everyone talked about. So this is truly happening. The infrastructure is changing rapidly under our feet. It is just the right time of baseline foundational frontier technology to be able to build AI agents reliably, to be able to build them where they reason through tricky situations and handle the long tail of edge cases gracefully. OpenAI has defined 5 levels of classification on the way to AGI. We're very, very used to conversational AI back and forth with an AI. But very recently, literally September of last year, is when reasoning AI just became available. And it's going to get cheaper, better, faster. But that is a prerequisite to the third level AI agents. So keep that in mind. Jennifer Lee, general partner of A16Z, said AI agents will actually take more time to go mainstream than people expect because model reasoning capabilities still need to come in. So keep that in mind as you go along, that right now is the time to build, so that you can be the first one to be able to get it out there and see it more mainstream. Now we have best use cases. I'm going to go through this very quickly for the sake of time. There's good targets for AI agents, and there's kind of bad targets for AI agents. So feel free to take notes on this. But AI agents have particular capabilities and particular value add in comparison to traditional labor or what software, existing software today. So the gap between existing software and the gap between the value that the AI agent can add, the higher that value, the better the AI agent, the more valuable your AI agent can be. making it more good targets. So feel free to take notes, take pictures on this. I have to move fast. The expected value is always the single task value multiplied by the task volume, maybe over a period of time per month, whatever, over the accuracy. Now, your value of your AI agent actually goes down quite a bit if it's not really close to 100% accuracy, especially in the B2B. Yeah, agents are intended to be very, very accurate. And anything, anything less than that, in comparison to maybe a human actor or a human worker actually degrades the value and trust of the AI agent in general. So keep that in mind. Try to go for high volume, low criticality of accuracy, etc. when you're deciding on what to do. Real quick, take a picture of this. I can't go through everything, but these are the strengths and weaknesses of AI models compared to like human experts. Little notes on it too. Keeping in mind the strengths of the models compared to what humans are capable of will help you decide which AI agent, where to begin, where to start. This is a new paradigm of development. So it's tempting to program. We did go through insights, and so I wanted to actually skip to slide 30. Make sure to go back to the previous recording. I did go over those slides. I did go through critical concepts as well. So after critical concepts, there's kind of two major broad categories of AI agent engineering. One of which is AI agent architectural design, like the cognitive architect and the agentic workflows. The actual hard-coded and/or platform-built AI agent architect is the back-end system of the AI agent, also known as agentic workflows or cognitive architectures. So it also has to do with the optimization and analytics as well. The key being, your AI agent should be generalizable enough to handle just about any situation in an industry now and in the future. And it's amazing, if you are spending too much time on the back end, you're doing something wrong. It turns out, wait a minute, every tech platform shift in history has brought in a new paradigm and focus in development. If you think back when the workspace was first created, like Windows, Linux. If you think back when every new paradigm, every new tech stack, foundational tech stack, iOS system, mobile with iOS and Android. If you think back to every major platform shift, the sudden focus in development, without having to recreate the wheel, people started to realize actually we can actually build on top of existing software. And today is no different. The AI models are getting so big. If you are an AI agent company, you're an early stage startup, it's not exactly the best strategy to develop your own model from scratch, unless you're in a very particular level of expertise. You have a particular, very, 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 very rare advantage. But I would argue time is better spent actually building with the existing models. I was fine-tuning a new model once every month at one point, and then realized I kept switching them out. Why do I need to fine-tune the models? They're getting better, faster, cheaper. They're going to continue to get better, faster, cheaper, more accurate, more reliable, smarter, have more reasoning. Yeah, we don't want to reinvent the wheel per se, but we want to be agile as the new models come online. So why is the age of AI any different? No need to create your own model. If for most people, most use cases, except under rare circumstances, it's better to build with the existing models and think, how do I build agentic frameworks and an agent that's useful and is delivered to the user at high value? And so this is a new paradigm in thinking. We're actually, as as not attractive or sexy as this sounds, the actual focus and and all the time spent engineering should actually happen at the prompt engineering layer, where prompt engineering was kind of, oh, don't make a ChatGPT wrapper. But hey, today we're talking about engineering system prompts, pooled system prompts, and how the AI agent works with your database that has a lot of other information. Today, my primary system prompt is 26 pages in length. 11-point font, like lots of information. I'll go over examples of that. But you can actually do real behavioral engineering and not be ashamed of it and actually get the most value out of your time spent by focusing on the actual AI, the AI agent's behavior more than the actual architecture behind it. So this is just one of two primary planning stages. It's 26 pages in length. And all the databases are defined, all the actions are defined, examples are given, all the in this situation do this, the basics, how the AI agent should interact with that, and then the examples. Examples are probably 8 pages in length, and there's maybe 5 examples. There actually could be more. This is just the prompting layer. This is just the primary prompt, not to mention the pulled system prompts that lie in the database or are only pulled after the primary decides it needs it. So actually, if your point being, if you're spending a lot of time, in the AI architecture side, once that's set up, you should be able to iterate very quickly at the prompt engineering level. And that's actually been the most beneficial in my circumstance. And I believe that's where we're heading, where this is all going. And few people realize that. I'm going to introduce the anatomy of a compound AI autonomous agent, where any information stimuli comes in, the AI agent reads it plans, and so that's where we're talking about that primary system prompt right here. Hopefully you can see my, cursor. Primary system prompt here, and then it decides to go to pull usually several, if not dozens, of pieces of information from the database after the first primary, not the least of which is secondary or tertiary, also known as successive system prompts that then go into the next planning stage, but also information about the user's account, information about the user's conversation history, information about, their dog, everything about the user, maybe, their personal preferences, what they set their settings to before, in order to decide the behavior of the AI agent going forward. But even after the first planning stage, it's given access to text message, email, Slack, database, and more. And so when we think about practically, hey, Miles, I'm just starting off for the first time, you still need a sensor, and I'll go over the pillars here soon. You need a planning stage with a system prompt, and you may not need pull some system prompts, but just give it access. Start giving it access to tools and actions. And I'll show what that looks like here in a moment. And then later, once you develop the AI agent more, you'll want to have maybe another planning stage, but eventually you'll want to have n number of planning stage, because things can get really tricky. Things can get really complicated. We think iteratively. And so this is actually fundamental, extremely pioneering, and few people are doing this. But people are starting to talk about this compound n number of planning stages, multi-user AI agent. So let me move on for the sake of time. AI agent behavioral design. I believe this is the front-end user experience of the AI agent. How the agent actually performs and behaves can happen all at the prompting layer. Primary or retrieve system prompts that guide the agent on how to behave, as I mentioned. So, system and pulled prompts formats. the format of the primary and retrieve prompts that guide your AI agent on how to behave should be at the center of gravity in your product development cycle. System prompts and pulled prompts format for each planning stage. We're talking about static prompts. So the up front, you want to put it at the very top of the prompt when acquiring of the models. This is static. AI agent's nature is definitions and guardrails. It's situational, instructions and behaviors. So in this situation, you should behave like this. If you receive information like this, make sure you pull this information from the database. Make sure to pull this system prompt from the database. Output format, definitions and examples. I'll have an example of this here soon. Database definitions. Action output formats. So how exactly does the model need to output in what exact format, JSON or others, in order to, you're then able to then parse and then input into actions dynamically into the right actions at the right time to trigger actions such as send a text message or send an email, send a Slack message. Situation-based examples. Hey, in this situation, it must have like an input example, what the output should look like, and then kind of the reasoning behind why it decided to take those actions as a behavior. Situation-based examples. Now, this is all part of the static prompts up front. You do that, some models, like a lot of OpenAI models, they'll actually cache it. If it happens maybe every 5 minutes or less at scale, maybe up to an hour, they'll wait for caching. You actually get kind of a discount on the tokens. So make sure to put it at the top of your prompt. Below, at the bottom of your prompts, you're talking about a dynamic prompt. So you're inputting information from the sensor trigger, for example, or in the secondary planning stage or tertiary successive steps of the planning stage, you're actually pulling information from the context pulled from the database as information retrieval. So pulled system prompts for the successive planning stages, as shown here. You'll pull system prompts into the secondary planning stage, and so that should be lower down within the dynamic prompt. This is the format. Again, this is the format of the system and pulled prompt format. Here is, I'm going to go over this very quickly, so take notes and take a picture. This is just for a priority ticket, AI agents. So take a picture of this. This is what your basic practice prompt should look like. So it has each of these elements: the role of the agent, the task definition, the instructions. In this situation, do this. In this situation, do this. The format, examples, sample inputs. This goes into the examples. What a full example should have, the elements of just one aspect of the prompting, which is examples, reasoning, outputs, and inputs. And similar prompt engineering strategies. Your examples, dynamic examples, majority votes. This gets into some serious detail. Feel free to take a picture of this, and feel free to look up the PDF on this. The source there is the prompt report. Okay, I get this question so many times. How do I choose what environment to set up? What platform do I? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Please write in the chat now if you guys can hear me better. Oh, good. Thank you. Cassidy AI, I am not familiar with. But I will tell you how I would approach Cassidy AI if I was considering it, which is I would use Perplexity's deep research. I think OpenAI has a deep research tool as well. And I would say, hey, this is my situation. I'm an AI agent founder. I would like to know the pros and cons of using Cassidy AI versus competitors or doing a custom development implementation. Please let me know everything I need to know, enter. And then you wait a few minutes. You get a really, really good feedback source just to bounce off with, talk to other people about it. But it's, yeah, these deep research tools are becoming really useful. And as you're starting off early stage, guys, I'd really try to use out-of-the-box solutions. I know it's amazing to see so many that are just like extraordinary engineers. They are perfectionists. You are a perfectionist, maybe. That is an amazing skill. And I hope you find the right place at the right time for that skill to be highest leverage used in your domain. Being an early stage, like very early stage, 0 to 1 startup founder is not that time. Being a perfectionist at that early stage is not. It's all about optimization. It's about speed. You want to get out the door. You do not want to reinvent the wheel. Your competitors will not reinvent the wheel. They will move right along. They will use out-of-the-box solutions, and they will go to market weeks, if not months, faster than you. If you don't use existing tools, existing models, and so on and so forth. So at the very, very earliest stage, it is optimized all the way for speed, all the way for customer validation, and then all the way to get to that, what is the only thing that matters in startup land, which is product market fit. That you're optimizing all the way for that, and none of the other things. Sometimes the solution doesn't exist. AI agents, like full robust AI agents in a market, just don't exist for the most case. Well, you got to build that. You have to customize maybe the prompting layer, etc., to do that. But guys, I created a really good a framework here because I got so many questions on this, evaluating platforms for AI agent development, a comprehensive analysis for startups. So if you want to download this, make sure to get a copy of the webinar. I believe if you're Founders Bay member, you can rewatch the recording and get access to the notes on this. These are all the pros and cons of Crew AI. Yeah, let me drop the link here. I think that's the full link, right? Let me share the link. Yeah, because I got this question so many times. Interesting. Okay, let me know if you don't get the link. I have it now. So check this out. I know I had a lot of questions on this. I've been back and forth about this just because the underlying technology and tools. Some of the tools described I'm not familiar with, just because like Crew AI and LangChain didn't exist or no one knew about them before, when I first started building AI agents. So I just wanted to do research for you guys and kind of filter it through my worldview, everything I've seen and what people have talked about. But I think, yeah, when it comes to this, I've been back and forth. But guys, the models, Cursor, and others are getting so good. it would be who of you to consider your own custom development from the beginning. Now, Y Combinator came out with a recent video on this, and their basic their basic end conclusion is like, at the beginning, it's absolutely great to use custom agents and vibe coding or whatever at the beginning. So they changed their tune on this. But as you scale, you really need definitely a custom development system, custom deployment software. You need your own software, like end to end, fully. But you also you also need you need real advanced thinker. You need real software engineer founder to build at scale. The software at the beginning is not the software you're going to end up with to handle the infrastructure needs of a scaling business that's going to go to market and become a unicorn someday. It's just not going to happen. Even the models are not going to find all the edge cases and debug well enough, even a few years from now, probably. So, and I'm an optimist when it comes to these things, and I'm saying that. So just be careful. Consider doing some research in your specific topic and your specific brand. If you look at the last one, there is a Google Vertex platform, custom deployment suggestion here by a great guy, good friend, Genome Snow put this together. So go through that. But for the sake of time, I got to move forward. So. Number 2, so the pillar of AI agents, and there's 11 of them. I'm going to go through the last 10. The triggered sensor. So any message in, usually any type of message from any platform, any communication should be your trigger, and it should have the context and the information revolving that message that comes in, like a notification, even a physical device trigger you can work with. And even maybe if you're doing a regular sensor, you do regular checks on a regular basis, 5 minutes, maybe every 5 hours, to check on a system, do a little analysis, and maybe check on things. This will happen eventually. You'll need like a delayed timer on your AI agent to kind of check on things, make sure things are tidied up, follow up if people don't respond, just so the whole workflow doesn't break down. But co-founder of LangChain even said, in the future, we're going to have ambient agents. It's not just going to be single, like the agent only summons when they're triggered. Like they're going to be running in the background and assisting you by doing analysis on a regular basis. So that'll be interesting. Maybe LangChain will have more in-house, out-of-the-box capabilities that way. Interesting. AI agents. So we're talking about AI infrastructure, model infrastructure use. Reasoning engines today are expensive. So building to save on token costs is important, but we're building into the future, right? We have reasoning engines now that are getting much cheaper. And I know the guys over at the Agentic, very great people. Gosh, I think they're offering something like, so many engineering hours to help you build your AI agent. So like, super consider that. Humeris AI, we're talking about the model infrastructure layer. So the Agentic has a really good model to use for AI agents, optimized for AI agent outputs. Humeris AI are some friends of mine. None of these are sponsored on this podcast or anything. Humeris.ai actually has a mixture of models framework. That's very interesting. When a new model comes in, suddenly you find your costs are cheaper just because a new model comes into the mix. So very, very interesting framework that I highly suggest looking up and using, especially as you build and go into the future. AI agent pillar number 4, information retrieval. This is the compound system I described before. Define your database in action. Dynamic graph rag. I'm promoting dynamic graph rag these days. Should it be memory based? Is it going to be built into the model someday? That's something to keep in mind. But your database should kind of have 3 main categories of organization assets, like physical and digital assets. Policies and procedures. This has to do with the user and the account of the user of the accounts, count of the user's preferences, and then members. So any stakeholders, actual individual people, internal or external, maybe a profile on that individual, and on and on. We'll keep that in mind. Behavioral design architecture, in this order. Take notes quickly because I'm going to do a sprint towards the end here before we go into VIP questions. But we're talking about hierarchy of priorities. Now, this will be very interesting. As you build that skill, you'll find that there's so much information you give your AI agents, and they need to know. The AI, the actual model needs to know what you prefer, what you have the highest priority towards versus the other priorities in somewhat or potentially conflicting information and context in the context window. And in this case, you want to define this very clearly. Guardrails are at the top, and I'll go into that, where guardrails will ensure the AI agent is harmless in all situations, that it's not providing wrong information, that it's not directing someone to do something crazy, or that it de-escalates something. Government, who gets permissions to settings when, so that not everybody can just change the settings, etc. Paid users' highest preference. The paid user's highest preference should then come after governance if that user is authorized. And the next priority is the paid user's preference that's undefined. So the paid user hasn't given, what does the paid user want to do? Maybe there should be a scale from 0 to 100, where the user wants to, if the user wants to give it to a 0, then the AI agent almost always reaches out to the paid user for their preference. And if there's any doubt whatsoever that the agent is not doing the task properly, or maybe the paid user wants to give the AI agent full autonomy at the setting 100, where the agent is going to truly just do what it thinks is the best thing. That should get better and better as reasoning models go over. The paid user is fine with kind of checking over and managing the AI agent and going back, maybe fixing some things on the edge case. So this is an undefined, in an undefined situation. How much level of autonomy do you want the AI agent to have? So that's D, and then E is the default behavior in the industry. What's common in the industry? What makes the most sense? So it's going to follow this tree and make sure in each of these situations, the highest priority comes first, and then the lowest priority goes last. I went over governance, security and safety. Users have what permissions to do what with the agent. Governance, guardrails, ensures quality and harmlessness. Safety, legal safety protections and others. And define your actions. So this is interesting. There's actual actions that are for internal use, and there's actions that go out externally into the world. Make sure to take notes on this, guys. Feel free to take a picture of this, reference the notes. I'm going to go quickly. I'm going to give an example here of what this looks like. Action D, send a channel message action. So I define the actual action. I tell it kind of what subroutine, so it knows which subroutine to go into, how many total items, how many output lines, basically, how many total elements, and then I start to give some formatting and description and reasoning. So item 1, so line 1, line 2, line 3, format, and then I give actually a, this is just one of many actions I give my AI agent, but I give an actual full-blooded example. Yeah, here's the example I give. And that's the format I chose for it to output. There's examples towards the end in the system prompt as well. But this link also can be accessed. This link can also be accessed in the notes. I want to say show notes. So when we go back, Okay, define your actions. Define your actions and provide examples. Make sure to take pictures of this. We're coming towards the end here, guys. Output for actions need to be formatted exactly, clearly defined, and giving clear examples to work really well. Each action should have a defined number of structured, dynamic input elements that the plan stage decides to be detailed for. Each structured input be formatted correctly and dynamic. So, definition, format, examples, just like the system prompt. I'm going to give an example here of what should be in a system prompt, like kind of exactly. Your job is to decide exactly what goes in the output of all 194 outputs. So 194 lines, and then it gives the example step by step. Very important, first pair, second pair, examples, run ID, branch ID. There used to be branch ID, I think. And then action A, action B, and then some other guardrails, like please never include double quotation marks, because that'll mess up kind of the parsing when you go to put it into the actual actions. It doesn't have to be this big. You can actually follow JSON format or other standard formats that might be easier than this. But the key is you have to be extremely explicit to the dot exactly how you want the AI agent to output before going into the action. Because if it's not exactly formatted, to answer your question, currently I use Zapier. I'm migrating everything over to Google Cloud as we speak for future scalability. To answer the question, the person who asked what platform do I use, we'll go into VIP questions here really soon. But yeah, be very, and do a lot of testing. Ultimately, if one little symbol could be wrong, that the model's output, and it just won't work. Guys, the models are getting good enough if you prompt them good enough and use the correct models. This can happen. This is totally working in my situation right now. So don't get discouraged. Lots of testing. I'm telling you, hundreds of thousands of tests we've run, a few hundred iterations. So that's really what it takes. It's going to be a lot easier for you guys nowadays with the technology. But yeah, so there's an example. User interface should be flexible and dynamic. Text, audio, image, video, in-app, SMS, message. Optimization, accuracy, token cost. This is just a lot of tests to optimize for what you're looking for, or do pay a little extra for Humiris, who might save you a lot of money anyway. Optimization strategies and on. Guys, we're out of time. VIP members only. Don't forget the Founders Day membership offerings that will help to maybe rewatch this. But I would like VIP members only, please, to come on and ask any of the trillions of questions